too.
Yeah, no, everything's going good.
Yeah, no complaints. Staying busy, something going on. Yeah,
Seems that way.
Kevin's over there all the time doing stuff.
Yes, he goes over and, specs, he looks good.
Yeah, no, Kevin's good.
For permit review, we just had, I assume you did a permit review for the renovation.
Mm-hmm.
For our nursing program.
Yep.
So.
Gross Hall came by, so we were
Yeah,
busy with
I
that.
think he was a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we worked a lot with them over the years. We first worked with them when he was still in the park.
Okay.
We were renting theater, the Madison Street Theater. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yeah,
that.
it's right about Clinton and Madison, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I would call it about 3 or 4 blocks to the east of Harlem, just right.
Yes. Yeah, so right around.
On Madison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there were some code violation issues and whatnot. We didn't own it. So we were concerned, and we had offered to help compensate for some of the repairs. Those are part of our rental.
Yeah.
That's what Kevin came out. Stuff before, of course,
Yeah, he was running there over there for a while.
yeah, that's been a number of years ago now.
Yeah.
That's the first time. Yeah, we worked with Kevin a lot.
That was great. Yeah, I've known him a long time. So I came from Broadview. I was in Broadview for 30 years.
First,
Yeah.
then went elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been good.
Yeah.
I like it here. So good. The guys eat great.
Great.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Stairs come down.
Oh no. Right.
Right. I mean, you know, you hear about
Some.
it, so.
It's been good. How about yours?
Well, great to me, and I'm sure we're
Yeah.
doing a lot more
Yeah,
together.
we're doing
Sure.
Well, we hope so, yes.
Yeah, okay, you checked it.
Hey, Greg.
How are you doing?
Good, good. Quick little question. So as we've been, so I'm trying to talk to regionals. Yeah. So, all incomes manufacturers is 24 to 28 months a year. So, I remember Rosie, so I'm not sure, she just wanted me to check with you. So if I'm ordering, so I'm gonna try to get something from for next month. So, I tell me it's 300,000. So obviously we'll work on a budget for 2 years. Is there any legal issues because we're proving something?
Right. What did I do?
Yes. Most of them have already gone out and got.
Oh, the state.
Where they've already, yes, they've already. They've been- Right.
Yeah, okay.
So.
I didn't like, you know, her before was part of a lot of that's why I said she's a good voice.
Right.
I'm sure they originally with this kind of stuff.
So I never had that, for example, usually if your budget was still on that same, it's made the budget. But this is the first time we're talking 28 months, this is the next budget.
It's good.
I'm sure we probably would, depending on how far along. Right, right.
This is about 55 miles old, right? That's at the time.
Yeah, it's really terrible. Every 8 months to get it. Yeah.
So I think it's 65.
Thank you, sir. All right, Greg, thanks again.
Hi, Brian. Good to see you. Great to see you too. We finally made it this far. Huh?
Yes. Yeah, he did fill me in on how to get it. Like he did.
working.
Okay.
You were calling me
Yeah.
up, they go to the same, what's going on?
Mom figure, go to this house in River Forest.
Ah.
One more row.
Geared to young people.
That's why I showed it to you too.
Oh, that's right.
Oh. We're not sending off to school.
Okay. So what are you gonna do?
He's gonna do an internship with the New York Times. Yeah. Yeah. Internship is great.
Cost is not so great.
Cost putting them up for 3 months now. Wow. You know, expensive work is.
My niece just moved out of American Trust. And she's gonna work in Banner Park, so all the way down to the bottom. Say, well, I'll live in Brooklyn. But she already started working. Not Milwaukee.
No. It is outrageous. I used to travel there for business, so it was never. Restaurants.
Yeah.
He's staying in a converted hotel.
Okay.
So it's a local house.
Yeah, like that.
It's converted into a world.
Okay.
Okay. Good deal. But yeah, they got it's still.
Okay.
700.
Thanks for that. You know what? You're sending him there for a reason. He is not right. Thanks for
$40,000 mistakes. First year. So, right. Yeah, kind of getting ourselves.
out to have a special promotion. You don't have to. We're doing ordinary wage.
You know, that's the issue we got. If they were, we would help them. But okie dokie. All right. Oh, I thought we could take them all at once. Hopefully we can.
No, apparently this is how. Yeah. So can I ask you a question?
Can't we take all these at once? These appointments?
Yes, if that's how they.
Yeah, I know now.
Make a motion to consent to appointments over 7A.
Through.
So second, and then John can read them all, just
Okay.
like the consent.
Okay, very good. All right, that's what we should do.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so. Okay, so it's pretty easy. Yeah, we're gonna we'll do all the appointments together, but I'll let you know that you just read them.
I'm sure I'll muddle my way through it.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Everything is. All right. All right. Okay, so I think we're there, huh? 7:01, so we should get going. All right. One minute here. Okay. Good evening, everyone. All right, we will call this regular scheduled meeting to order. If I can ask the clerk to please take the roll call.
Trustee Bachner.
Here.
Trustee Gillis.
Here.
Trustee Vasquez.
Here.
Trustee Brennan. Trustee Johnson.
Here.
Trustee O'Connell.
Here.
President Aducey.
Here. Okay, if I can ask everyone to please stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Alrighty. Oh. Yep. So, I don't know if I see Phyllis. She's not in here, and I don't know if she's on the Zoom. So.
She said she had Jordan, she would be on Zoom, but she is not.
Okay. Well, if she shows up, we will certainly let her have the floor, if she'd like. Okay. So we'll go ahead with the elected official comments and announcements. And I don't know, Bob, would you like to start?
Thank you. I hope everyone's well rested after our little respite here. Congratulations to all the kids heading back to school today and the college kids who have been going over the last couple of weeks. The only thing that I have tonight is I'd just like to congratulate Rick and Lisa Gillis, whose son just recently graduated from Marine Boot Camp and is now stationed in Pensacola, so to serve our country. So congratulations to them.
Wow, yeah.
Yay.
Go Christian. Very good. Thank you, Bob. Hi, Ken.
Hello. I have no comments. Just want to say welcome back to everyone. Glad to see everyone smiling and ready to roll.
Ready to roll. Back in order.
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. Rez?
Just one item. Well, good evening, everyone. The Age-Friendly Committee met. We took the second draft of a report in terms of just a general report, but we still are focusing on findings and actually action items for each of the findings. So that's going to be what we're going to be attempting to approach and complete by this next coming board meeting, committee meeting, I should say. So other than that, that's about it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Rez.
Yeah, I have very little to say other than I am on the Greentown Task Force along with you, Kathy, and Eric Simon, and this is basically the first time that the western suburbs will be getting together to really focus on sustainability issues as a collaborative. This event has been held in Oak Park and various parts of the state, but this is, I think, one of the first times that it's
in
big,
this area.
and it's
Right.
in this area as
Right.
the West Suburban
Right.
Greentown event, and it'll be educational. There'll be advocacy, and we're looking forward to really bringing the communities together to really focus on how we can combat climate change together.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Lisa. And congratulations again to Lisa and to Christian. Erica.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to begin with a land acknowledgement. So as we begin, we are mindful that we hold these meetings on land that was once and still is inhabited by Indigenous people, including the Ojibwa, the Chippewa, the Menominee, Potawatomi nations, and more. And we will remember our nation's history and honor the Native people as stewards of this land that was colonized, and that River Forest continues to be a place many people from diverse backgrounds live and gather. I second the great fortune of parents of River Forest and community-wide that their kids are going back to school. I was just telling Lisa, I find myself being the parent of a freshman in high school, and it feels a little unreal. So let's just take it day by day here. Yeah, so I also do want to just update folks on DEI. Was able to participate. I'm trying to think of the scope now because it's been all summer. At least one DEI meeting with the Mayor's Municipal Caucus. And we were able to go through some really interesting topics, choose what the outline for next year will be. And it was really interesting because we all have a lot of ideas, and truly we came up with an agenda through 2024.
Wow.
So, I mean, things, obviously priorities change and all, but there's a lot that we are interested in. So I'm happy to be a part of that group. Also, our DEI advisory group, we have our RFP subcommittee finalized the RFP along with the review of the larger group in general, and we put out the bid. Bids were due last week, and we got 16 bids.
Yeah, wow.
So they are across the country. They are from our community. We have an international one, so we feel very lucky to have the breadth of that, and we'll be continuing on the process of that in the upcoming weeks. So
okay, very good. Sounds very promising. Thanks for that update. Well, I don't have much to report. again, like everyone else said, we wish our school children good luck in the new school year, and hopefully pandemic free as we move forward. Like everybody else, I took a few days for vacation, so I didn't have a lot going on, but we did spend quite a bit of time on C4, which is the collaborative climate group between the 15 regional municipalities across this western suburbs, and we're really trying to shape that collaborative with what kind of projects and goals, because the whole intent is to try to get the brown and black communities kind of moving ahead in major projects like solar, transportation, housing, and it's really incredibly exciting. I'm really psyched about it. More to come on that. So we probably have more meetings than I've ever met on. So that's good. Also, as Lisa mentioned, Greentown, we did have a meeting with Greentown. That is going to be a really kind of a cool, it's going to be a summit, basically, on climate change. And it's going to be hosted in Oak Park, and we're going to be one of the big, communities that will be part of the Greentown. I believe the last time they had it, prior to COVID, was in Rockford, and it was a huge success. And many communities came together, both local and outside of Illinois. So it's kind of going to be I think something that's going to kind of propel us into kind of another area of climate change. And as we all know, our president just signed a climate change bill that was significant. So I think we're making all the right moves, both nationally and locally, to really tackle climate change, which is a very real problem. And then I think last we met with Brad Cole, the executive director of IML, Brian and I, to kind of gear up for our summer meeting that we will host here in River Forest. IML is a statewide association, basically, with 1,300 municipalities. Now, we're not going to have 1,300 municipalities descending on River Forest, but we'll have the board of directors of that league here, and we will hopefully they'll see a little bit of River Forest, a little bit of Oak Park, a little bit of all of us. So I'm real pleased that we were able to host them. That's about it. So with that, yeah. Oh, okay. Phyllis, you're here.
Wait, can I just circle back on
Yep.
one thing? I think it's this weekend. Isn't the food truck rally this
Yes.
weekend?
Yes, and thank
This
you.
weekend.
So,
Thank
yes,
you.
I
Food-
was thinking about that, then.
looking at Lynn. And
That's why I was
Mike.
looking at Lynn. I said, "There's something Lynn's got
Yes,
going on
thank you,
this
Bob.
weekend."
Food truck rally, please, if anybody's
Yes.
listening
Lot
out
of
there,
fun.
a lot of fun. This is, people always say, there's so many fests out there, Rib Fest and Elmwood Park Fest, and this is our fest, and so this is our way of kind of bringing the community together. We're collaborating with the Park District and the Kiwanis. So thanks to Mike and Lynn and the whole team over there. They really have put a great program together. So tell your family and friends and neighbors, please come out. It's a ton of fun. It really is. What time does it start? 3?
4 to 9.
4 to 9. All right. Thanks, Mike. So, yes. So, Phyllis, you are here. I will give you the floor if you'd like. So small.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go.
Hi, Phyllis Rubin, 411 Ashland Avenue, the Chatterton, right near Lake and Lathrop. So I want to talk to you about Lake and Lathrop. Nothing's gone on in the past, I don't know, since they broke. Nothing's been happening in the last month. We have just recently got a call from Mark. What's his name? Mark. Okay,
Mark
good.
McKinney.
Mark McKinney, who my board is discussing this now because they want access to our northern boundary and our northern parking spaces. So I think we're going to be probably going to be pulling the village into this too, because I don't think we have spaces for 6 or 7 cars to park anyplace else. So you'll be hearing about that. But meanwhile, the place is a mess. The barrier is coming down, at least between us and them. I think the whole thing doesn't look very good. The other people in my building are saying they're sloppy contractors.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to, this is somebody else in my building is writing, I would like to see the village insist on concrete barriers to allow for pedestrians to navigate the sidewalks on Ashland, Lake Street, and Lathrop. Who knows when or how long this project will take, now that they've had the entire summer off. I doubt at this point whether they'll make their construction due dates for next year, even if they got started tomorrow. We cannot and should not have to walk over pea gravel, plywood, metal plates, and fencing that constantly obstructs our sidewalk passage. This site is very poorly regulated. The privacy screening is in disrepair. It looks like a village junkyard rather than a work site. The 5-gallon buckets are 2/3 filled with concrete, and they're breeding grounds for mosquitoes when it rains, and the sidewalk close signs reflect the cheap outfit this project really is. That is not me, it is another neighbor watching and writing. Winter is coming. If it's like this in the winter, you remember what happened last winter. You complained about, no, they did not clean the sidewalk. You remember this, okay. I don't know what your part in this is anymore, but this is not a good look for the village at all.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm done.
You're finished. Okay. Well, we do have responsibility for our sidewalks, I assume, right? And the care for that. And so I tend to actually agree with you on this, in that we may have to make sure that they are clear and clean. So there's passage. We were just talking about this before the meeting began. So I'm going to let Brian both address, and again, I don't want to get into it because it's just comment, but I do think it's important that we address the being able to walk on that sidewalk, because I think that is something that is our total responsibility. But I do want to remind all the village residents, if they're listening, or and I'm posting this on Facebook, we do update our website. So when there's something that's happening, like I know Nightcore was out there, other utility companies were out there, they were trimming the trees. We do update our website to include the activity that has happened during the summer. It may not seem like a lot to you, but there has been some activity, and we try to update our website so that people know, so we're as transparent as possible, and that you know as much as we know. So I'm going to let Brian answer any of the other questions, like regarding the sidewalk.
Yeah, regarding the condition of the sidewalk, there's actually two different sequences of events that I just want to explain real quickly, and part of it is as Kathy alluded to, and was also alluded to by Phyllis, the condition of the barricades is something that is definitely on the developer, and we will move forward on addressing that issue. There are some other conditions on the sidewalk itself at the corner of Lake and Lathrop that are actually coincidental and not related to Lake and Lathrop. As many of you have seen, there has been some underground utility work going on. There have been improvements by a number of our cable and internet providers to do some fiber optic improvements along Lake and Chicago and Madison and the like. And so there are a few places where that work has been done. That area is now taking time to settle, and then there's the patchwork that'll take place after the fact. Lake and Lathrop, that corner happens to be one of those that's been impacted by it. That being said, especially now that school has started back up, we want to make sure that the students that are walking to that corner aren't impeded. So we'll be following up with those contractors and making sure that that work is taken care of. So all the comments that that are spot on, and we'll make sure it gets addressed.
Yeah. So thanks, Phyllis. All right, let's move on to the consent agenda.
Okay. Can I make an omnibus motion regarding 7A, the board and commission appointments?
Wait, we're going to the consent agenda.
Oh, we're not in the...
Where are we at? I'd love to get to that point right
now.
But
Okay.
We're still on the consent agenda.
Fine.
So if you can move
Oh,
to the
you're
consent
right.
agenda.
I think
Make a motion to approve consent agenda items A through K.
I normally make that mistake, Rez, so don't feel
Yeah.
bad. All right, any questions regarding any of these items or comments?
No.
Okay, hearing none, I'd ask the clerk to please read each item and then take the vote.
Consent Agenda A, Village Board of Trustee Meeting Minutes, July 11th, 2022. B, Village Board of Trustee Executive Session Meeting Minutes, July 11th, 2022. C, a right-of-way encroachment waiver and agreement for an irrigation system in the public right-of-way with the property owners at 629 Thatcher Avenue. D, a right-of-way encroachment waiver and agreement for an irrigation system in the public right-of-way with property owners at 558 Keystone Avenue. E, a right-of-way encroachment waiver and agreement for an irrigation system in the public right-of-way with the property owners at 755 Monroe Avenue. Approval of an agreement with Baxter and Woodman to complete a pump station energy efficiency study for a not-to-exceed cost of $30,000 and authorize the village administrator to execute the contract agreement. G, monthly department reports. H, accounts payable July 2022, $2,093,599.89. I, monthly financial report June 2022. J, monthly financial report July 2022. K, village administrators report. Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Vasquez?
Yes.
Trustee Gillis?
Yes.
Trustee Bachner?
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell?
Yes.
All right, thank you, John. All right, now next up is my recommendations of boards and commissions and committees, and I ask trustee to move it and second these appointments.
Okay. Well, I'd like to make an omnibus motion regarding 7A1 through 7A8 to concur with the reappointments and the appointments by the village president to the various commissions and boards as outlined in the agenda to be read by John.
Okay, very good. Any questions or comments regarding these appointments and reappointments? I just want to remind the village board that I do take the time and energy to talk to each and every one of these commissioners, and I thank them for their service and their volunteerism. I mean, it is a lot of work, and we're very lucky to have a really engaged community. So, so I appreciate your support on these appointments and reappointments. Okay, if you can maybe read out
First, apologies for butchering these names in advance. Board and Commission appointment I, Plan Commission, reappoint David Crosby as member and chair, 4-year term expiring April 2026. B, reappoint Roberto Armalas, 4 years term expiring April 2026. 2, Development Review Board. A, reappoint Marianne Fishman, 2-year term expiring April 2024. Reappoint Jane McCole, 2-year term expiring April 2024. Reappoint David Crosby, 2-year term expiring April 2024. 3, Zoning Board of Appeals. Reappoint Frank Martin as member and chair, 5-year term expiring April 2027. Reappoint Ron Lucchesi, 5-year term expiring April 2027. Traffic and Safety Commission. Reappoint Doug Reese as member and chair, 4-year term expiring April 2026. Reappoint Aaron Yarriman, 4-year term expiring April 2026. Reappoint David Carroll, 4-year term expiring April 2026. Reappoint Patricia Chase, 4-year term expiring 2026. Ethics Commission. Reappoint Greg Ignafo, 2-year term expiring April 2024. Fire Pension Board. Appoint Tom Severinson, 3-year term expiring 2025. Board of Police and Fire Commissioners. Appoint Nathan Melman, 3-year term expiring April 2025. Historic Preservation Commission. Appoint Brian Murr, Schwartz, vacancy, remainder of term expiring 2025. Development Review Board.
No,
Oh, we're going
no,
to.
that's it.
Okay. Trustee Vasquez?
Yes.
Trustee Gillis?
Yes.
Trustee Bachner?
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I think then we move into the continuation of, it's not that.
Development.
What is, that's not board, board action, right.
Board action.
Commission action, yep, sorry. So, okay, we'll need a motion to Yes, to approve this ordinance, and then we'll discuss it.
Motion to approve an ordinance granting an amendment to a planned development permit for the River Forest Park District, Keystone Park, 7920 Central Avenue.
Second.
Okay. So we see, Park District, Lynn and Mike and whoever, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Lebra. I'm the president of the Park Board. First, thank you for rocking through the agenda. When I looked at it, I had dinner before I came.
Oh, Lynn, you should have more faith than that.
And secondly, Trustee O'Connell, thank you for the pitch on our Saturday event. We've been up here before with this project and have been through, jumped through some hoops and made some minor changes, but basically we're back here with pretty much the same arrangement that we had before. So if you could move to the next slide, please.
You have it, right?
Yeah, we're here. Yeah.
You have it.
Oh, all right.
What did you think he gave you?
Thank you. So the way this started is we are desperately in need of resurfacing our 5 tennis courts and have been for a while. They've been resurfaced time and time again. A core sample indicates that they're a good foot thick. They're pitched the wrong way as far as rainwater as well as playability is concerned, and they're built on top of dirt with no stone base. So they simply need to be replaced. And so what we did as a board is step back and looked at the east part of Keystone East as a whole, because it's a little askew. Things have been plopped down over time, and we figured we could do a better job of space. And so what we've done is redesigned it. For the most part, it's really picking up the tennis courts, doing a shift, moving a couple of them, picking up the batting cages and putting them more centralized in terms of the 2 ball fields, and improving the aesthetics overall because of this newness, and the fencing is quite different, and overall creating more recreational opportunities and space. Some of the opportunities we have embedded in the plan, some of them will be for future use. So that's where we came from, that's what we have as a whole, and at this point, I'll shift it to our Executive Director, Mike Sletton.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening. I'm Mike Sletton. I'm the Director of the Park District. Also with me is Todd Abrams. He's an engineer from the, WT Group now, right? So he's our civil and lighting engineer for the project. So we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of this project. As Lynn discussed, this is a rebuild of pretty much existing facilities. What we're going to be doing is the replacement of the 5 tennis courts with 5 new lighted tennis courts. We're going to be replacing moving around the 2 tennis hitting walls on site. We will be keeping that same product or the same walls and relocating them in a new location. I can actually, hold on. Right. It doesn't work too good there. No, it doesn't go on the white. So we'll just move forward. So we'll be rebuilding the 4 lighted batting cages we have right now. 2 of them will be lit. They'll be permanent cages. The other 2 will be temporary cages. We will be, right now we have 2 basketball hoops on the tennis court site. We will be creating a new a lighted basketball hoop area south of the tennis courts. There is a flagpole on site. We will be replacing that with a 30-foot flagpole that will be next to the baseball scoreboard. We'll show you that in a little later. In addition, then the tennis courts will also be dual lined for pickleball use. And again, we're creating out of this a 960 square foot lighted basketball practice play area. So here's the existing site plan. You can see we outlined in yellow the tennis portion of it. So we have the 3 courts to the north, the 2 to the south. All of them are lit. There's also the hitting wall area to the north of the 2 southern courts. In addition, then directly east of the tennis courts is the batting cages. And then north of that, between Lake Street, it's a grass area right now. So what we're going to do is go the other way. This is the new redesign. So in this, we're still keeping the 5 lighted tennis courts reoriented to be a group of 4 on a single court. The batting cages on this, you can see the lighted cages are being moved along Central Avenue west of the Keystone Center. And then you can see the net only, or that says on there, 2 batting cages net only, to the north of the tennis courts by the now synthetic softball field up there. As part of the stormwater requirements, we have to put in a drainage swale, so that will be up by Lake Street. And then the last item would be, south of the single tennis court is where the new lighted basketball hoop area will be. The tennis courts and the basketball hoop area will all be fenced and gated, for use. Oh, and then in that it does show where the lighted flagpole is, and it will be lit. So this slide just shows an overlay of the existing with the new facilities, just to give you an idea how it will all lay out, and certainly we're creating a much more efficient layout of space. So this is the proposed batting cage structures we'll be putting up. So the top slide is the 2 batting cage structure that we currently have at Priory. It will look identical to that structure out there. Matter of fact, we use the same bids to build it too. So concrete surface, caged around, it will be lit the same. In this case, the prior ones are not lit. The new ones will be. Todd will be talking about the lighting in a little bit. And then the lower slide shows the temporary nets that will be over by the synthetic field. It will be ultimately 6 poles with nets that will be raised at the beginning of the River Forest Youth baseball season and then dropped at the end of the season. So basically, April 1st to June 1st would be its season. The surface underneath it will remain grass. So little hard surface impact to the site. So the benefits, and you may have noted a little bit when we did the overlay of the 2 sites. So the project's going to see a 9.1% decrease in concrete and asphalt surface area. That's pretty significant. A reduction of 3,920 square feet. We're a 38% decrease in chain link fence, or a reduction of 6,515 square feet of fence. Part of that is the fencing is the reorientation of the courts, and the new fence height is now 8 foot versus 10 foot. That's now the typical specifications for tennis courts for their needs. So obviously aesthetically much more pleasing. A decrease in light poles. Currently we have 8 out there. The new one will have 5, and that's regarding the tennis. The tennis courts will be able to put a greater distance. Right now they're 9 feet, which is not the best situation. We can increase it to 10. That would match up what we do over at Washington right now. The tennis players seem to like that a lot more. Obviously an improved surface drainage on the tennis courts. We'll be able to centrally locate the permanent batting cages between the 2 fields, the baseball fields that are out there right now. And it will give us added recreation opportunities, most importantly the pickleball and the basketball open hoop area. And then finally, the park aesthetics. We just think once this layout and the reduction of the fencing and the concrete and the asphalt certainly will be a better aesthetic impact. So this is a slide of the landscape plan. So we don't have much space to work with here between moving everything around and trying to keep some space open for future recreation opportunity. What we have done is we've measured 20 varying quality trees, and most of them, and when we did this slide it was 20. I think we've lost about a third of them already. So most of them gone down from emerald ash borer and other things at this point. So we know 20 will need to be removed from the project. We can put in 13 on the project site using the village calculation for replacing the diameter. We figure we're going to need to put in 52 trees in Keystone Park or at other sites. This is similar to what we just did with the library agreement with those heaters. And when we went through the plan development review board, the agreement was it would be 1 year once the project gets permits. So we would have no problems with that. And then with that, I'm going to turn it over to Todd. Todd's going to talk about the stormwater drainage and the lighting, the court lighting. You want me to do this?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Todd Abrams. I'm the Executive Vice President at WT Group and the civil engineer on the project. I also coordinated with the electrical engineers on the lighting design and the electrical design for the tennis courts, pickleball courts, and the basketball hoops. What we're looking at here is a sketch of the proposed site plan, and we also highlight the detention pond on the north side of the tennis courts. Mike mentioned today that the tennis courts aren't pitched correctly, kind of pitch all over the place, but in general, half of the area drains towards Lake Street, half of the area drains towards Central. That's all what we call undetained. It just drains over land and drains right into the streets. Under the new MWRD ordinance, we're required to capture those areas and route them into a detention pond and restrict that release, and that's what that detention pond, that drainage swale is on the north side of the tennis courts. So all stormwater from disturbed areas, the development will be directed towards that detention pond, and it'll basically drain through a very small, what we call restrictor, less than or around 3-inch hole in a plate. So drainage flows from the site will be drastically reduced after this development. Next slide. What we're looking at here is a photometric plan. It's kind of hard to read. As Mike mentioned, there's five new Musco poles going in for the tennis court / pickleball courts. Basically, one at each corner of the northerly row of 4 tennis courts, and then one in the middle, shining west, and the southerly tennis court / pickleball court. And we also have 2 new 30-foot LED lights going in on the east and the west side of the basketball court, which is at the southerly extent of the development, just north of the parking on Central. When Mike and I, when we started the project, we went out and we took what's called photometric readings of existing light levels on site. It's pretty hard to see on this, but basically the proposed light levels, 5 feet east of the tennis courts, maybe 25 feet north of the tennis courts, 10 feet west of the new tennis courts, and just north, right at the north edge of the parking stalls on the north side of Central Avenue. The proposed light levels are at 0 when all these lights are on. And when we went and tested existing light levels, we tested an area on the south curb line of Central, and we found that lighting level to be 8.5, so pretty decent improvement. And for instance, we measured a light level at the sidewalk that runs east-west north of the existing tennis courts. You can kind of see it on this drawing. It was at 0.5, and it's 0 right at the 5-10 feet north of the proposed tennis court. So the new lights, these new LED lights, they're much more focused. There's a lot less spillage.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, what is this going to be? Is this going to be concrete? It's going to be grass? The open space right here.
The open space is all grass right now.
It's going to stay grass?
For now.
Yeah. And just.
It is proposed to be green space. Yes.
It's proposed. Okay.
Yeah, so the board right now is beginning a strategic planning process, so we'll be identifying that use and other sites in the next 6 months. But right now it is, for the purpose of this project, it's an open space.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Next slide, maybe.
Okay. Sorry.
Thank you. This is just photometric lighting levels of the basketball courts. Again, there'll be 2 new lights on the east and west side in the center of the courts. Again, 30-foot tall LED light. These new LED lights are really focused. We took doesn't really show it very well on this, but lighting levels as a result of these new lights will be just south. It'll be 0 in the parking stalls essentially on Central Avenue. So there's very little spillage compared to what's out there today.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
About the lighting for the basketball courts. I spoke with Matt earlier today as well. The lighting for the tennis is going from 39 to 50 feet. And from what I understand, 50 feet is now sort of the standard for lighting. I'm wondering for the basketball courts why those aren't going to 50 feet as well. And the type of lighting, if I understand correctly, is a different kind. It's like what you would see in parking lots, not the other kind.
Exactly, and everything you said, 100% correct. I would note one item. 2 of the existing Musco lights that light the existing tennis courts are 50 feet tall. So I think it's 6 or 39 feet tall. 2 are 50 feet tall. The new standard is 50 feet for tennis court lighting. It's because of the new lighting systems. It's LED light. What the type of lights that are out there today are called metal halide. The new light systems are mostly all LED, and basically they require a significant amount less of lighting fixtures. I think today there's 39 maybe. So
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think we're going from 39 to 15. So we're cutting that actual light fixtures more than in half.
So is 30 feet the standard for basketball courts?
There's really no standard. It's a basically just we felt the light levels with a 30-foot tall light is applicable to a basketball court. These will be lit enough to play, and again, these are just same type of lights. And I've actually got a slide coming up as a parking lot light, which sometimes are around 25 or 30 feet tall.
I guess the question that Erica, if I can help, is that can you play with that lighting? I mean, is it going to be dark?
Oh no, absolutely not.
Okay, I mean, is it? So I guess that's what she's saying. What's the standard for a outdoor basketball court if you're lighted? Is what you're saying is what you're proposing?
I would say there's really no for this type of.
But your professional opinion, is this something that you could play without, bumping into each other?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think the readings are between 5 and 10 foot candles. It's sufficient lighting.
Isn't there part of the equation that has to do with the area you're covering? So the area you're covering on a basketball court is much less than what you're covering on a tennis court, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's many things that go into it. How many light poles you put in will affect how tall you can make them. What type of lights you put in. These are forward throw lights, so they try to focus the light levels going forward. So that's why we've got 2 lights on either side. They're throwing against each other to kind of or amplify the light levels. But yeah, you could do 3 or 4 lights at shorter lights that would light the same. That's one of the benefits of having these 2 at 30 feet is we only need 2 light fixtures.
So is it, if it does come out dark, we can take the steps to improve it just as much as the tennis courts?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would be as easy as just running a conduit for another light.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised to hear that there's a standard for tennis, but not a standard for basketball or for these courts. I would imagine that there would be.
Well, the standard that we're using for the tennis courts is the U.S. standard. So I wouldn't say that if we were going to light an NBA standard basketball court for exterior play, I don't actually know that. I don't know that we meet that, but this is a recreational basketball court, so there's really no standard. There's no.
We'll see what it looks like. I mean, I guess
Exactly.
There's got to be something that you're guided by. Otherwise, you're just throwing a dart.
Exactly.
wall. But I think what Bob O'Connell said is probably right. I mean, they look like they're half courts. They're not full courts. The question, so long as, I guess our concern is, as long as you can actually, physically play on the court, and it's not dark, right? It's not dark. That's, I think, the concern of the board.
Absolutely.
And if you're saying, in your professional opinion, and the park district is supporting it, that these are sufficient, maybe more than sufficient lighting for a basketball court, then I think you're answering the question. But that's what I think we need to be assured.
Absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
it's very difficult to read
Put
on the
your career on the
exhibit,
line.
but we've got light levels of 11-foot candles, 10, 12-foot candles at the extent of the court. So that's more than enough light levels. Foot candles.
Okay.
And what's the foot candles for the tennis courts?
In the center of the tennis courts. They range from 17 to 35. I'd say the average for the tennis courts is about 26 foot candles.
I just feel like maybe there's some more research here to be done, unless you've done it. Again, I find it hard to believe that there's not a standard for recreational basketball.
So the other thing that we have to make sure we take care of is we don't want too much light that goes over the tracks and into the residential area. So that's why.
Fine, but
that's
I
why.
do think that we could probably, in the same way, what they say with the 50-foot lights is that that's more direct. So it's more direct and it's brighter.
So okay.
I don't know that.
Can you show the fixtures? You said you'd have.
We're getting to that next,
Yeah.
so we can start with that.
So-
Yeah, this is an individual fixture for tennis court light. Again, they're all LED. You can next slide. This is what the pole is going to look like for the Musco tennis court light. Most of the poles will have 2 fixtures on them, 2 or 3 fixtures. Oh,
What happened?
And is the light directed to shine just straight down? Is that
the Musco lights?
yes?
Yeah, they're aimed. So when they actually get out there, Musco will put them in the best location essentially. And this is what the basketball hoop light will look like. Again, it's
And how many are there going to be?
2, one at each side, one at each end of the court, the basketball courts. But again, I mean, there's more than sufficient light. It's going to be lit as much as a parking lot would be, and actually more than what an average parking lot would be lit at. But there will be a ability to add a light, if it's felt
I
that
guess,
it's not lit enough.
Lynn and Mike, I guess what I'm hearing the board saying is that I don't know if I would hang it up because we're not 100% sure, but I would like to reserve the right to, if it's inadequate, as Trustee Johnson said, if it's inadequate, we find that our residents can't play because it's too dark, right? I mean, then we'd like to reserve the right to talk for you to change it. If it we know we need to deal with the residents around it, but I'm prepared to do that. We can't have a basketball court you can't play on if it's not lit.
I don't think that's what he's suggesting.
No, I know that,
again,
but I think
so. This is where we get hung up a lot.
Mhm.
People hire consultants and experts to do this, and then we come in and we question it. So
Nope.
your statement is absolutely true. Is we should go back and evaluate it if it doesn't work, but we shouldn't hang it up because
I think that's what I said.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, the only reason I'm reacting is that, and it's not, it's just that you said there was no standard. So there's only way we know for sure is if we try it out.
Right. So if you drive by Keystone Park at 10 o'clock on a fall night when they're playing pickleball out there, it lights up half of the baseball field. So, it's the light that shadows off of it. Okay. And so you're going to have some of that. So you have, it's not a concentrated effort on the basketball court. You have the tennis courts, you've got the paddle courts. So
Bob, and I think we're all in agreement with that. It just said it's got to be you got to be able to play on it.
Absolutely.
You know, and so I think all we're saying is, since there is no standard and we don't know,
Yeah, so
I have no
we're
issue.
hearing that
Yeah.
like people who play tennis, the average for those tennis courts is going to be 26 lumens or whatever,
Right.
can't handle some things. For the basketball courts, it's 10. So there's a discrepancy there, and I just want to make sure that if that like, I think of a parking lot light, and I don't think that that's necessarily bright enough to play basketball on.
And I
So-
think if the objective is to worry about the concerns of the tenants, then it should be universal in that lighting, because if it's dark in one area because we're worried about the tenants, then we can't say it should be super light over here, but yet still say we're worried about the residents. So
Yeah, I'm not worried about the residents. I mean, I don't mean that in a
Well, again,
bad
this
way.
is-
I'm
this is-
saying because I think we've already had lights out there.
Right. So I mean, the design is
and-
all a balance based on the use, the need for the use of the facility, and the residents around there too. Obviously, we don't want to start putting in, if we don't have to, 50-foot light poles, extra 50-foot light poles, because glare and sightline are the two things that impact the resident
I don't.
complaints.
It's not what we have to. It's what
Right, right.
what if you got to be able to use it. So all we're saying is, and I think you would have to agree.
So I could just say, from the design they're doing, this is how they designed the same foot candles have been designed at other tennis courts at other park districts. So.
Other tennis courts, other basketball courts as well.
Yeah. And I guess all we're saying is, we're not questioning your professional opinion. We just want to make sure, that we want to support the residents and and people who use the basketball courts and the tennis courts, equally. So if that's possible, that's all we want. I think the board is saying. So, I wouldn't hang it up for because there's no standard. I would just ask that if for any reason we hear through our residents and people who use the basketball courts that it's insufficient lighting, then I'd ask that we come back to the park district and talk through that and get proper lighting.
It would be like
isn't
any
proper.
complaint we have. If there was a complaint, we're certainly going to address it and review it.
I'm sorry?
If we had a complaint on this or anything else we have, we certainly
Yeah,
review it and
reviewing
address
it
it.
and solving it is two different things. So
Right.
I want to make sure we solve it. So you know what I'm saying? I don't want to just
Right.
review it. I want to make sure that we solve the problem. If it's insufficient lighting, we'd like to be able to solve the problem if that's possible. But we understand your point right now and your professional opinion right now, and I accept that because I don't know any different either. I'm not lighting expert.
Absolutely, sure.
Huh?
This is what the
Right.
this is what the batting cage lights will look like.
Okay.
So two little lights. That's all.
Okay. Thanks. I mean,
So
is that
any
okay
oth-
with everybody? in
Any
terms
other
of-
questions?
I don't know where we're at. I think it looks great. I think you've done a really nice job of almost, really making it look nice. Rearranging the tennis courts and everything else. So I applaud you guys for doing all that. It's and then I think moving everything, the batting cage makes total sense. So, good
Yeah, I
job.
mean, it's something we certainly didn't want to do, but we have to deal with what was done in the past, and we only have 30 acres to work with as a total for the
I
whole
agree.
agency. So we got to, at this point, the board's really working on. We really got to maximize the efficiency of all our space.
Yeah, I think we all agree. So I think it's a job well done.
Kind of communication to the residents about what's going to be available after October 1st in alternatives.
We've reached out. Do you want to address what we've done in terms of outreach to the community?
At this point, we have it on our website what's going on. Everything's contingent on the approval of the project. MWRD, we expect probably in the next week or so. Then we'll be going into full throttle. We're already working with Trinity. Obviously, the court's going to be closed, so they're moving to finish out their tennis season at an alternate location. We're limiting things like lessons for tennis for the fall. Matter of fact, I think they've eliminated them all, so that opens up the Washington tennis courts. And then we'll be encouraging. We'll be working with Oak Park to encourage people to go over and use their facilities.
We've had public meetings on this.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned it already, but your timeline for completion.
So so we're tentatively to start October 1st. We would anticipate that we'll get all the paving, the fencing all done by mid to late November. I can't paint the courts though till it gets warm enough. So everything then, the painting will come probably around May 1st next year.
I know you guys have done a lot of this throughout the community already. Can you maybe talk through the safety and then what that will look like as you are working in the park and having potentially kids coming through, not knowing necessarily that there's construction?
So the construction, the site will be fenced off. I don't know if it's all chain link or if it's just orange. Yeah, I think it's the orange fence. The construction, though, is limited to come only off of Central. So the goal is they're going to start at Lake Street and then back away. So you'll see the demo. They should be doing the excavation for the detention pond, putting in all the stormwater, and then paving backwards. So that site will completely be closed, and the only access, obviously there'll be a crossover at the sidewalk at Central Avenue. So that should be the only impact to the community.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions for Mike or Lynn? So thank you. I think it was well prepared. Thank you so much. Okay, so if there's no further questions or comments, I'll ask the clerk to take the vote.
Trustee Gillis?
Yes.
Trustee Bachner?
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Vasquez?
Yes.
Okay, passes. So thank you so much. Good luck to you guys, and we'll see you in the park. Okay, Zoning Board of Appeals. So if I can get a motion on this 7C.
Okay. I move to approve an ordinance granting the requested variations to section 10-9-7 and 10-8-7C 2B of the zoning ordinance at 1443 Forest Avenue.
Second.
Okay. Who's here? Who's going to give this update? You, Matt, or Brian? Or?
Sure, I can. So for this request, the purpose, the homeowner wants to add an elevator to the site to help with accessibility for a family member that lives in the home. So in order to construct that addition, a setback variance was needed on the first and second floor. There were no comments at the public hearing at the Zoning Board of Appeals. There were 3 letters in support of the project received by the nearby neighbors. That's really all I have to report.
Okay.
Any questions?
So yeah, it looked like it passed the board.
This is just extending the existing setback
Yeah.
further down the property, further away from the street.
Right. Okay. Anybody have any questions regarding this? It looks kind of straightforward, and it fits right into our age-friendly community.
That's it.
So I don't have any issues, but doesn't sound like so. Very good. So we'll take the vote on it.
Trustee Bachner?
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Vasquez?
Yes.
Trustee Gillis?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so we'll move on to new business. We have no unfinished business. So new business, this is, if I can get a motion in a second, we can discuss this minor amendment.
Motion to direct the village administrator to process Concordia University's request for a minor amendment to the plan development permit for digital scoreboard. Excuse me.
Second.
Okay, great. So Brian, I'll let you do it since you're the minor amendment guy.
I'm the minor amendment guy. Yes, indeed. So included in your packet is information regarding a proposed minor amendment from Concordia University. Concordia, back in 1999, presented an overall planned unit development for their site to the village for consideration, and included it in that 1999 packet was the placement of a scoreboard at the sports center, for lack of a better way of knowing how to describe it. I'll leave that up to the good folks from Concordia. So the age of that unit has reached a point where they're looking to replace it, and what they're looking to replace it with is the similarly sized panel for the scoreboard itself. There's, however, it is a fully LED system versus the light bulb incandescent type that's there currently. As well, there is some decorative features that come with that. In concern for the neighbors that live in the area, especially in light of it becoming a fully LED lighted system, Concordia has agreed to do some landscape improvements to help mitigate and eliminate the view of the scoreboard from the street. So with that, there are some people from Concordia to
Welcome.
make a presentation.
Hey guys.
President, trustees, staff, thank you so much for inviting us and welcoming us to your meeting. So my name is Randy Barfield. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at Concordia University. And joining me this evening are Jeff Hines, Senior Vice President for Advancement, and Glenn Steiner, our Vice President for Operations. I think probably many of you know Glenn's been here a long time. So Brian, you did a great overview. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes of introduction, and then I'm going to let Glenn go through the rest of the presentation. So as you know, we've been in the community for over a century. Really enjoy being here and have a great working relationship with the village. We welcome all the residents to use our track at the facility, and in fact, the park folks that were here earlier, we sponsor an annual 5K fundraiser run for the park district. So I think it's a pretty minor amendment, but it's kind of new to me to understand this development process. It's essentially a drop-in replacement, and as Brian said, the old board's very obsolete and hard for us to think about maintaining when these things fail these days. They're just, you can't even get parts for them. So we're excited about the possibility of getting a new LED board. And I'm going to ask Glenn to go through the rest of the slides for the trustees.
So good evening. My name is Glenn Steiner, and I'm with Concordia. The scoreboard that we're going to put in is a series of panels that all sit one next to each other, and they are LED in nature, and the display size is the same as the scoreboard that we have today. There is a decorative feature on the top of this scoreboard, and I'll have an image for you here in a moment that says Concordia on it. That part is not lit, but it does increase the overall size a little bit. We are going to start the scoreboard mounting down a couple of feet to account for that. The overall height increase will be about 1 foot from what you see if you would walk out there today. The primary sports that the stadium serves are football and soccer and lacrosse and track and field. And of course, this scoreboard will support all of those. We're very concerned about neighbor mitigation. We do not want to impact the neighbors or any of their homes with this scoreboard. It will only be on during the day. We only have daytime events. We have no we have lighting around the track for security and for walking purposes in the evening, but we do not have competition lighting of any kind. So we have no after dark events at the track and field, and so this scoreboard would be on for daytime events only. We do not believe that it will be able to overcome daylight to impact a neighbor's residence. What was interest to me, and I'll thank the staff for helping us. I didn't know what nits were, but now I do. And so the scoreboard maximum brightness is 7,500 nits. There is a sensor, and so this data comes from our manufacturer who does understand these things. There's a sensor, and the normal operation is only 40% of the maximum, so about 3,000 of these. And if you would compare that to a billboard that you might see along the highway these days, those are typically operating between 10 and 12,000. So we'll be quite a bit less than that, and again, only during the daytime, turned off at night. So Brian illustrated, we have a slide coming up, we are going to put landscaping in at 3 locations. There are 3 views into the campus that we'll illustrate for you. And we're going to install landscaping not only on our property, but we will also be basically paying for installation of landscaping along the public right of way or the parkway to the north of the stadium. This is a picture of the scoreboard as you would see it today. It's located in the south east corner of the track, and so you're looking southeast at this. This is the rendering from the manufacturer of what the scoreboard will look like, and there again is that decorative element on top that says Concordia. Again, not lit, but there. And this is the image superimposed in the location of the current scoreboard, so you can see what it would look like. And I'm just going to pause there and see if there's any questions thus far before we jump to the landscaping.
So the lighting part is below the word Concordia, right?
Correct. Yeah. Concordia is sort of a static design feature. Those panels I described start just below Concordia, but everything else you see below Concordia is part of the display panel assembly. So where you see the score and all that at the bottom, that's part of the display.
Okay. When it's not on display, is it black?
Correct. Yep. Almost like your TV. Like if this TV were shut off, it would be black. Yes.
Okay.
So
yes, sir.
In the middle, that's a video, right? Am I wrong or no?
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. The whole thing below Concordia is all video screens that fit together. Okay. This is the current landscaping, roughly the current landscaping plan. And then right up alongside, you can see the arrows represent the three views into the campus that we're going to work to screen or obscure the view of the scoreboard. And we have some other images coming up, street level images that you'll get to see here in a moment. But those three views, if you were to go out there today and you look through, you would see the scoreboard as it is. So we will then be adding plantings in these locations to obscure that view. So down at view number 1 is a couple of like shrubs that they'll come at about 4 or 5 feet, and they'll be up on a little berm. There's a rise right at that part of the campus that they'll sit on to obscure the view. And again, street view image is coming. Up at view number 2, those are a series of 3 10-foot Canadian hemlock. These are all evergreens, by the way, so that way we don't have a seasonal disparity between like when theoretically you could look back through again when there's no leaves on a different kind of a planting. So these are all evergreen in nature. So those are 10-foot Canadian hemlock up at view 2. And then at view 3, those are 12-foot spruce, and there are 8 of them along the fence line there. And so those are highlighted in what you see as the dark green on the screen.
If you don't mind, I'd like to clarify,
please,
Glenn, if it's okay. Yeah. Also, in the right-of-way, you'll notice along division that there are some additional trees that are placed. Those will be deciduous trees. Just want to make sure that that's clarified.
Okay. I think Matt has that image. I know that we just didn't have time to get it into here, but he has it. If you'd like to have it brought up, we're agreed to the plantings as were presented by the village to us. So if you'd like to.
Yeah. We got a couple minutes.
So these plantings are in the parkway to the north, and you'll see that the arrows are not on here, but they're certainly in line with where views 2 and 3 were illustrating. So there'll be plantings on the Concordia property, but also plantings in the parkway.
Okay.
Brian, is that covered for you?
Thank you, sir.
You bet. If you would, Matt, if we could go back just a couple more slides, and then we'll wrap it up. this view, this is view number 1. So this is Thomas Street, looking due east roughly at the scoreboard, and you can see it circled there. And then and you can also see how we've got a little bit of a berm there. This is the view after the landscaping has been put in. You can see that we're obscuring the view of the scoreboard there. This is view number 2, which is from the north. You're looking to the southeast, and you can see the scoreboard through there, again in the circle. And then this is after we put in, and this shows one of those trees. I think there's a series of trees now along the parkway, so it'll be a little more robust than what you see here per that drawing that Matt put up for us. But in essence, we'll be screening off or obscuring the view from this angle. And then this is view 3, straight down William Street into the stadium where you can see the scoreboard. And this one, this is an initial view now. Those are, again, 12-foot spruce trees that'll be going in along the fence line. And I think there's probably a couple of parkway trees there now. Is it just one, Jeff? Sorry, thank you. So there'll be one. And then as those mature, we've got one more image as the parkway and the other trees would continue to mature. So we feel like day 1 we're obscuring the view, and certainly as the trees mature, it'll be further obscured. And so those are our slides and our presentation. I want to thank the staff for their. I know Brian, we met several times, and Jeff's been very helpful, Matt, and Elijah. So thanks to all of you for your help in getting the slideshow together and with the presentation. We'll take any questions.
Any questions? I want to thank you for addressing, I think, the obvious.
Right.
I mean, we're really appreciative and we're grateful that you're improving your property. We think that that's important. But it's also important that we also keep the calmness and the beauty of the community too that's looking into Concordia. So we appreciate you addressing that. So thank you, and thank you to staff for staying on top of it. A lot of work for minor amendments.
Well, thank you again then for having us. If there's no other questions, thank you so much.
Thank you.
President.
All right, super. All right, unless there's any further comments or questions, I'd ask the clerk to take a vote.
Trustee O'Connell?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Vasquez?
Yes.
Trustee Gillis?
Yes.
Trustee Bachner?
Yes.
All right, well, I think that concludes our.
No executive?
Brian, shouldn't we do it? Should we have a conversation executive?
Well, you got to talk to us. Whisper. Really?
We can finish it.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it next time.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
All right,
Okay.
I'd ask a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Vasquez?
Yes.
Trustee Gillis?
Yes.
Trustee Bachner?
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell?
Yes.
President Aducci?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Okay. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Didn't even finish my Diet Coke. My goodness.
I know.
Actually.
We specifically asked, are you going to put a basket? They were like, no.
Finish up the car right now.
And we were like, okay. Now, they're putting up something, you know, it could be
Thanks,
dark.
hon.
I don't know.
Thank
but
you a lot.
like you said,
Appreciate it.
just
Nice to see you again. We haven't been here in a while.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
That's what I don't get.
Yeah.
It's going to be really nice.
Yeah.
Give him a breath.
You got
Heads
a
up.
chance on that one.
There's a standard for outdoor council.
True. Okay. I asked him right before I go.